All right, in this lesson, we're going to perform a combination of translations. I want to go through them once more. So a vertical translation is the first type. A vertical translation is when you take a graph and you move it either up or down. And remember, the general form of this type of function was y minus k is equal to f of x, where k told you which direction and how many units, and also f of x represented any type of function. The second type of translation was a horizontal translation, and that was when you took your graph and you either moved it up or down. So the general form of that type of function was y is equal to f of x minus h, where h represented how many units we were moving left or right. So we're going to combine these two ideas now into one function. So when you do, you get this function, y minus k is equal to f of x minus h. So when you are given a function and you have an h and a k value working together, that means you have a combination of both a vertical and horizontal translation. So the first thing we're going to do is apply it to a given graph. So we're given a graph on the left-hand side here, and what we want to do is sketch the graph y minus 1 is equal to f of x plus 3. So the first thing you want to do is you want to examine the transformed function and what types of translations are occurring here. Well, the one way to do it is to compare it to the general form of a function being both vertically and horizontally translated, and that is y minus k is equal to f of x minus h. Okay, so when you compare these two functions together, the whole idea is to identify your k and your h value. So let's identify the k value first. Since this is y minus 1 on the left-hand side here, therefore my k value is going to be positive 1. So what type of translation is that? Well, it's one unit upwards. Okay, so 1 unit up. Okay, the next thing we need to identify is the h value. So remember, our general form was x minus h. What we have in the transform function is x plus 3. So this can be rewritten as f of x minus a negative 3. When you minus a negative 3, that means you're adding it, okay? So therefore, your h value is going to be negative 3. Okay, so since it's negative 3, that means you're moving to the left 3 units. So 3 units to the left. Okay, so we identified both of our translations here. Now let's actually perform them. So when you perform a translation, you want to pick 3 or 4 or however many points, and you're going to sketch those points after the transformation. So I'm going to pick this point right here. That's negative 3 comma 5. At this point, negative 2 comma 0, 0 comma 4, and that point 2 comma 0, and I'm going to pick another point right here, so 3 comma positive 5. So the more points you choose, the better your graph will look, okay? All right, so you're probably asked yourself already, what order do we perform our translations? And that's a great question. When you perform a combination of translations, the order doesn't matter. So order doesn't matter. So you can go vertical translation and horizontal translation, or you could switch it around, so vice versa, and it doesn't matter because you'll get the same image. So from here, you're just going to choose which one you want to do first. Well, I'll deal with this k value, so I'm going to deal with the vertical translation first. So since we're moving up 1 unit, that means each of my y coordinates are going to increase by 1. So when you perform a vertical translation, you're only transforming the x or the y coordinates. The y coordinates change, the x coordinates stay the same. So since we're increasing each of our y coordinates by 1, the first point becomes negative 3. 5 plus 1 gives me 6. Second point becomes negative 2. 0 plus 1, which is 1. And third point is 0 comma 4 plus 1, which is 5. Okay, this is 2 comma 0 plus 1, which is 1. Next is 3 comma 5 plus 1, which gives me 6. So I perform the vertical translations first. Okay, the next translation is the horizontal translation. Okay, so when you perform a horizontal translation, the only coordinates that change are your x coordinates. Your y coordinates stay the same. Okay, so let's perform the horizontal translation, and that is 3 units to the left. Since we're moving to the left, we have to subtract each of our x-coordinates by 3. Okay, so negative 3 minus 3 gives me negative 6 comma 6. Negative 2 minus 3 gives me negative 5 comma 1. Okay, 0 minus 3 gives me negative 3 comma 5. 2 minus 3 gives me negative 1 comma 1, and finally 3 minus 3 gives me 0 comma 6. So there are my transform points. So from here we simply plot them and join them. So negative 6, positive 6 is about here. Negative 5 comma 1 is right here. All right, so negative 3 comma 5 is right there. Okay, and negative 1 comma 1 is right there. And finally, 0 comma 6 is right there. So if we join 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points, we have to keep the same shape as the original graph. So our transform graph, as a result, is going to look just like this. All right, so it looks pretty good there. So that's how you apply a combinations of translations to a given graph.